Hey, folks, happy Tuesday. Welcome to another episode of Breakfast with Mark and
Another one.
Jen.
Yeah.
And we are here to help your Christian marriage thrive.
Yep.
I hope you, in the last video, noticed my Christmas decor on top of my counters,
Wow. That's
cabinets.
that's how we starting.
Yeah. And in the coming weeks, I hope to share holiday sweaters with you as we film. But I love Christmas. Favorite
Whoa.
time of
Yeah, we didn't
year.
notice. We
Favorite.
didn't
Well,
notice.
some of them may not have because they're new to our channel, which means they're new to our lives.
Okay.
But I do absolutely love Christmas. My favorite time of year. Um, I'm that person that if there's a Christmas in July event or store open, that's where I want to be.
Now
But
that's ridiculous.
no, it's called planning ahead.
Uh, that's
Christ
ridiculous.
always has a plan. He's not a haphazard or a last minute God. When was the last time God did something for you and he decided at the last minute? No, he goes into the creation of the universe knowing who he's going to allow to live long, who he's going to not allow to live so long. He already determines where people are going to live, what family into which they'll be born. So I serve a planning God. And so when people like me plan for Christmas, we're being like our Father.
You got all of that out of Christmas in July.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Don't mess with a preacher. You know that because you're a preacher. A preacher can pull an example out of everything. But listen, we're getting ready to get off track real quick. So today we have a discussion that I think is really interesting because we want to talk about things, important things that women should know about men.
Oh boy, here we go.
So it's going
Here
to
we
come
go.
from such an interesting perspective. It's going to come from my perspective after being a wife for 16 years so far. And it's going to come from Mark's perspective because he's a guy. So who better to tell us how guys think than a guy?
Yeah.
So I don't know who should kick it off, but
I don't know, but I hope y'all ready.
I hope they're ready.
Cause
I mean,
I'm
I have one,
okay. Go
but do you
ahead.
want me to go
Yeah,
first?
sure. Ladies first.
Okay. I think something that is important to men that women have to understand is that men 100% need respect. Men thrive off of respect.
Right.
It's amazing to me how a woman who knows how to respect her spouse is a woman that can watch a man flourish.
Yeah.
And here's one of the examples I have about that. I know a couple right now, and
Mhm.
the husband loves to grill.
Yeah.
And he has turned his love for grilling into a business.
Hmm.
He's been getting orders, but you know what his wife is always telling him? You are amazing on the grill. His wife is always telling him, I believe that you can make this a business. She's
Okay.
always supporting his business
Right.
publicly, but he has also said that she supports him privately because she's never said to him, well, that's dumb. Nobody's going to buy your
Right.
grilled food.
Hmm.
She hasn't said to him, you need to just get a regular 9 to 5 because he said one of the biggest reasons why he does well in business because she respects his hustle.
Right.
She respects what he's gifted to do.
Hmm.
And the man, let me tell you, Mark, he looks like his business really is picking up.
Listen.
And so it's amazing how you don't have to go into a marriage with a man who already has millions. It's amazing how that man will end up flourishing if you can show him consistent respect.
Respect and affirmation. I mean, it goes hand in hand because because she's praising him so much
Mm-hmm.
about the fact that he's good on the grill and all
Yeah.
that, that makes him grill more. You want to see your husband, your man, do more of whatever he's doing, tell him he's good at it.
Yeah.
Even if he's not so good at it. Be like, wow, babe, like when you make
Mm-hmm.
this chicken is
But
excellent.
it's probably making his skills come up because now he's like, oh, she thinks this is good. Wait till I try it with this next sauce.
I mean,
You know?
it's the key to a man's progress
Mm-hmm.
is to just simply affirm him.
Yeah.
If you can affirm him, there's nothing that he believes he can't do. He can conquer the world
Yeah.
because there's somebody that believes he can actually
So
do
would
it.
you say then that even if a man doesn't readily recognize it to be so, the majority of men do need words of affirmation, even if they don't say that's their love language?
Yeah, they're not going to say that because it's a little sensitive, and
Is it
we
sensitive to want to be affirmed?
yes, when you put it that way. So when you say affirmed, right, it sounds strong. But
Right.
when you say words of affirmation on my love language, when you put it that way, it makes it a little bit more
Okay.
sensitive. It makes it a little bit more soft.
Okay.
And because we're naturally hard,
Mm-hmm.
we're like, yeah, words of affirmation.
I
No,
don't
I'm
need
not
that.
ready to say that. But if you respect me and affirm me, those are
So if we swapped out for a man and if we swapped out words of affirmation and we put on the love languages list respect, most men are going to say that's
yeah,
my,
yeah, yeah. Because respect me.
yeah.
Like we're just bred that way. We're born that way. We have an innate
Mm-hmm.
wiring that way.
Like a
That
lion.
respect, and so we get respect by force, or we
Mm.
get respect by just natural. What am I looking for? I think sometimes as a man, we're trying to gain respect at any way or in any way that we
Mm.
can. So a lot of times, if we're not getting the respect that we want, then we're going to force our way to that place of
Now, what
respect.
is that? What do you mean by that? What does that look like to
So what it
clarify?
means is that because we're naturally strong and hard,
Mm-hmm.
um, we want to have what we want to have. And
Okay.
if we're not getting it by being docile or just being, easygoing and things like that, then we may turn up the heat a little bit to say, hey, I need respect. And you may see it come out in different ways. For
Okay.
example, you may see a man just not really be as responsive or be as present
Mm-hmm.
as you would want him to be. It's because he's wrestling with something. And maybe
Mm.
that's his way
Oh,
of saying,
wow.
I need respect. So when I say he needs it
Interesting.
by force or he's going to get it by force, it
Yeah.
doesn't mean that he's going to beat you up. It
Right.
doesn't mean that he's going to pull out weapons and things
Right.
like that.
Mm-hmm.
But he's going to force respect just
Wow.
by going into his
So
cave
silent treatment or
and
lack of
saying,
being present from a guy can actually be his way of trying to say, you're gonna respect me. And
yeah,
until you do, I'm gonna pull back.
yeah.
Wow.
Because one of the things that I was going to bring up, and
Yeah.
this kind of goes into it, that what a man needs, another thing that he needs to be in a drama free zone.
Mm.
So if there's too much drama in his environment, then he's going to pull away.
Wow.
He's going to be withdrawn. He's going to find a corner of that environment where he can just be by himself and away from the drama.
And you know what's funny about that? I could see that because I'm a female and I don't like drama. So I can only imagine how much a guy can't take it.
Right. And you don't like drama, but I
No.
think when women say they don't like drama, it's different than when a man says he doesn't like
Okay.
drama.
Because, see, for me,
Because,
drama is like you're always gossiping, or you always have an attitude. When we
right,
have our girls' meetups, you're
right.
always complaining. Like,
Yeah.
that for me is drama. Like, I don't need somebody that's always talking about somebody, that
Yeah.
always has a complaint, like, that's too much drama.
Yeah, that's drama. But for a guy,
Hmm.
drama could be, hey, we've been talking about this for too long.
Really?
That's drama. Like, okay, I get it, I understand, but why are we still talking about this?
So I can't bring up then the trip I've been wanting to take 5 million times because that's drama.
No, no, no. You can bring that up. But let's
Okay.
say we're having a discussion
Hmm.
and we're on opposite sides.
Okay.
I'll make my point, you'll make your point. Most guys will make their point, she'll make their point. We'll keep going back and forth. But if we're going too long, a woman may say, this isn't drama zone. But a
Right.
guy will say, we've been on this for too long. I already made my point. Now it's getting into drama.
Oh,
And
wow.
drama is what we don't like,
Okay.
right? We want to be in those cool, calm, safe environments. And when
Mm.
it gets turned up too much, then we say, this is drama, we don't like it. And I think and this is very interesting, Jen, because as a female, you're like, we don't like drama.
Yeah.
But that is probably a different definition of
I
drama
think so.
than what a guy says
Mm-hmm.
drama is.
Yeah.
Because we don't like drama either.
Yeah.
But I do believe that women don't understand what a guy means when he says, I don't like drama.
Mm.
So, a big thing for a guy, especially a man, a husband, a father, is the house has to be his safe zone.
Yeah.
So drama could simply be that every time I come home, my wife is on me about the same thing.
Yeah.
And she's on me about the same thing, not necessarily in a harsh way,
Yeah.
but I know when I walk through that door, she's going to bring it
So
up.
even if it's something as simple as, let's say this is a light example, but it could be something as simple as you need to change the doorknob on the guest bedroom door, right?
Yep.
But what you're saying is if a week goes by or 2 weeks go by and now it's at a level where the wife, literally the minute you walk in the door as a husband, you know the first thing your wife is going to say is not how was your day? Can I get you anything? How are you doing?
Yeah.
But the first thing is, why is that doorknob still not fixed?
Yeah.
For a guy, that's too much.
For a guy, that's a drama zone.
Wow.
So he's going to walk into his house and not really feel like he can be safe. Also, most men are really wrestling in their mind as to how they address those type of situations, because naturally we can be demonstrative, we can command the room. If we get too hyped, we don't want to come on too strong, so we don't really express our feelings to the authentic degree that they need to be expressed, because we're not sure our women can handle that.
Okay.
So what do? We don't say anything.
And then still sometimes don't fix the doorknob.
And we don't fix the door. And not fixing the doorknob is our way of saying, hey, you told me 4 times now. So that doorknob gonna stay until I get to it.
But I mean, even in our own marriage, you've had times where you'd be like, Jay, I know you've asked me to call the people about the dishwasher, and I said I was going to call. And you would say to me, you can remind me, but don't remind me every day, multiple times a day.
Yeah.
And I had to learn early in our marriage that, to be honest with you, when I used to do that, I really wasn't trying to come from a place of you have a problem and I have a problem.
Right.
I was really coming from a place of he must have forgotten
Yeah.
because he has not called.
Yeah.
And so I was like, he just needs to be reminded because he's got a lot going on. But you would often say to me, I didn't forget, because we both recognize each time we go to use the dishwasher that, oh yeah, it's not. And you were like, but I told you I would handle it. But because my brain would say, but on your lunch break, just call.
Yeah. And the thing about guys is that sometimes we do forget,
Yeah.
but still, we don't want you to remind us. Listen, that's what you need to know about men. Yeah, I did forget to do it, but just you reminding me about it hits somewhere in my subconscious that makes me feel like I don't have it together, I don't have it handled. But as a man, we want everything to be handled and together. So if you're constantly reminding us about it, whether we forgot about it or not, we're actually going to be not so amenable, not so complimentary to that type of situation.
So it's like, if you're going to send the reminder, you, as ladies, it's like, just pick your spots.
Yeah.
Because the all day, every day reminders are obviously just.
And it's
probably not
about
gonna
how
see
you
it.
remind.
Yeah, that's true.
You know, some wives, they like got petty reminders.
Oh no.
They got like petty reminders. Like they'll remind you about it, they'll talk about it. And like we're in the same house. You don't do this, but I feel like it'd be petty if I'm sitting right next to you and you're gonna text me the reminder.
No, I definitely don't do that.
Like that is petty. That is super petty and frustrating.
Or have it pop up on your calendar as an event.
Yeah. Yeah, that's bad. All right, I got another one.
Okay.
I got another one. Um, what you need to know about a man
Mm-hmm.
is that we are visual.
Oh boy. Here we go.
I'm trying to tell you, most men are visual.
Mm-hmm.
Stop trying to change us. Stop
Okay.
trying to change us.
Okay.
That's the way God made us.
Mm-hmm.
We see and we relate to what we see. So, as it relates to our wives,
Yep.
our women,
Mm-hmm.
we are visual.
Mm-hmm.
We will often be attracted based on what we see.
Mm-hmm.
It does not mean that other things don't matter.
Right.
It just means that what we see is very important.
Okay.
And so you need to know that if you're trying to be in the running, if you're trying to be in his vicinity, if you're trying to get noticed,
Mm-hmm.
visual, what he sees matters. Then also to couple with that, even after we're married, we're visual.
Mm-hmm.
And it matters. I think that to to try and change the way a man is wired
Yeah.
is wrong. But to understand that he's wired that way would actually help the marriage and help the situation.
Okay.
And there's like many angles to this.
Mm-hmm.
Because we're visual, we have to guard our eyes.
Right.
Because we're visual, we have to protect what we see
Mm-hmm.
because we can often be led astray just based on seeing certain things. So
Yeah.
we have to guard our eye because for men, our eyes, that's like one of the main gates
Mm-hmm.
through which we gather information into our souls, into our spirits.
Yeah.
And I think that women have heard the fact that men are visual,
Mm-hmm.
but somehow they want to circumvent that and say, hey, that doesn't really matter.
Mm.
It matters.
Yeah.
It matters.
Okay.
I got more to say on that,
Uh-oh.
but we'll see how it goes. We'll
Okay.
see how it goes because you're not pushing me, but
I mean, I'm just sitting in silence waiting for your next.
no, that's all I have.
Oh, okay.
Um, but if you were pushing me, I'm sure there'd be more to come out from there. But men are absolutely visual.
Okay. So you're just gonna leave it there for now.
Yeah, they can do with that what they want.
Okay. Uh-oh. Um, what else do I have? Oh, I learned from you, and I think it does speak for other men early in our marriage that women have changed more than men over the years,
Hmm.
not over decades, not over hundreds of years, even across millennia.
Hmm.
And what I mean by that, ladies, is a lot of the basic things that some of our moms, grandmothers, great grandmothers did, men still enjoy. So saying that uh, I don't need to know how to keep a house,
Yeah,
I don't think that flies
yeah,
with most men.
yeah.
Or saying, I don't need to know how to cook a meal. I don't need to know how to run errands. I don't need to know how to change a diaper because, after all, where's the rule book that says that that's for women?
Hmm.
And I remember when I was young, before I was even old enough to date, my grandmother, I think I brought this up in another video. My maternal grandmother was like, "Jen, you better know how to cook because men folks likes to eat." That's how
Yeah,
she said it. Men
yeah,
folks like to eat.
yeah.
And I remember you said to me one time, the problem a lot of women have is that women have made such great strides in the workforce,
Yep.
in business, even in circles of faith.
Hmm.
And it's, you were saying it's not that that's a bad thing, but what came with that for a lot of women was the loss of wanting to do certain things or remembering how important it is to still know how to manage your home well. Whereas you were saying for men, that never changed.
No,
Men still were like, hey, we're glad you're an entrepreneur.
right.
We're glad in certain faith circles you can now step into the role God has for you.
Yeah.
But I still want my house clean.
Listen,
And I know some people are gonna not like that because they're gonna say, well, if I'm now working just like him, why do I have to clean the house? And my mom would always, you know what my mom always said to me, Mark? Jen, if you ever have a dirty house, I don't care how busy you are, people will always say she is a dirty person. They will never say he is a dirty man.
Right.
And thankfully, she reared me a certain way because I hate a dirty house and I
Yep.
don't like clutter. So even when I'm busy, I find ways to
Yeah.
keep our home up.
Yeah.
But my mom, I think there's a lot of truth to what she said. She
Yeah.
was like, even if he's a slob, if you don't find a way to keep that house clean, people are going to say you're the slob.
Yeah. Yeah. I think, you know, men have changed, as you said, a lot less than women have over the centuries in terms of roles in society and
Yeah.
how we're wired, because we're shaped not only naturally, but we're shaped environmentally
Yeah.
and culturally. So it does not mean that the woman has to do all the cooking and all the
Right.
cleaning and things like that. But somewhere in our wiring, we need to feel like the wife, the woman, is nurturing the house.
Yeah.
Like
That's
that
good.
that nurturing quality must be present in the house. So whether you're going to nurture and cultivate the house through keeping the house, or you're going to nurture and cultivate the house by keeping them, like you have to keep something, you have to cultivate something, because we're wired to bring it into the house, and we're looking for help to cultivate what we bring in. Now, as a wife, as a woman, if you're going to bring in two, that's great.
Yeah.
But if you're going to ask me to do all the cultivating now just because society has changed,
Yeah.
then that's just not in my wiring.
Exactly.
That's not in my wiring. So I'm all for, like, hey, go out there and be a CEO. But when you come in, I need you to be a wife.
Yeah. That's good.
And that's just the way men are wired. So I think a woman's job is way more difficult today than it was back in the day, because now you're about doing great things outside the home
Yeah.
and in the home. I think your workload has doubled
Yeah.
while ours has stayed the same.
That's good.
But our expectations
Haven't
have
really changed.
also stayed the same
Yeah.
and haven't really changed. And I think that's where you get the friction and the frustration, because women are just tired
Yeah.
because they're doing double work. And a man's like, what's the problem? What's the problem? Like, y'all can't grind out of the outside the house and grind in the house too.
Right.
What's the problem?
Right.
And then on top of that, cultivate the house, but then also cultivate me,
Yeah.
nourish me, take care of my needs, feed my needs. And I think that's where we get into the issues and the problem. Now, I think a 21st century man could be a little bit more sensitive to all that a woman is
That's good.
carrying,
Yeah.
and say, okay, I can jump in and I can help,
Yeah.
but we just can't be who we're not.
Yeah, I mean, and it's funny because you're right about not cultivating certain things that women are just going to. So, for example, when our children were still babies and toddlers and couldn't bathe themselves, Mark would jump in with the bathing. But now, if you're talking about sitting down and making sure that they get what they call at preschool like circle time,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
it's not that he didn't interact with the kids, but he's not even, I don't even think Mark remembered that I was like, oh, Mark, they just turned X month. This means we were supposed to start tummy time. He was like, okay, I didn't know.
Listen,
Tummy, great. If they're supposed to start tummy time, then please, by all means, Jen, put them on their tummy.
yeah,
He's like, I'm just following you.
yeah.
And then now our kids are at an age where they love when I put handwritten notes in their lunchbox. Mark, you affirm them all the time. You
Yep.
encourage them. But if they're looking for dad to remember to send them a handwritten note, they're not going to get that from dad.
No,
And
no.
if you're a wife and you're saying, why can't my husband sometimes write the handwritten lunch notes? Girl, how many husbands do you know really do that if there's a mom in the home?
Yeah,
Come on now.
yeah,
Like, be realistic. It doesn't take anything away from him as a present dad, but that's just not how y'all are wired. Like, I literally, Mark, thought to myself the other day, I'm getting low on index cards. So I need to go to a dollar store. I need to stock up on index cards. But then I said, I'm going to step up the lunch notes even more and get stickers
Mm-hmm.
that represent each child. So as I'm writing their note, I can put a sticker that they're You're not going to think of that.
No, no.
You don't even know that we're running out of it. Did you know we were running out of index cards?
I didn't know we, you know, even did that kind of stuff.
See? But you can't tell these kids their dad doesn't love them. So I think it's just also being realistic for how men and women are wired. And listen, if you're a dad that writes a note in your lunchbox, relax. I'm
Proud of
just,
you. We're proud of you.
yeah, I'm just saying that women shouldn't expect that most dads are going to come wired that way.
No, they shouldn't expect that.
Yeah.
Um, I think another thing that you, another good thing that you need to know about men is that men actually, um, I put it this way, men raise men differently.
Okay. That's a good point.
So if I have a son,
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna raise him in a way that a woman is not going to raise him.
That's true. Mm-hmm.
Because men rear and men raise sons differently than women do.
Yeah.
And you cannot some like I think sometimes women don't understand how or the methods of a man or a father and how he's raising his son. And it may look to be too harsh, it may look to be too insensitive,
Mm,
but men know how to raise men
mm,
because we know what it's like to be a full grown man and go through the gauntlet of life
mm,
and all the hardships of life. And so we're trying to prep this young boy
mm-hmm.
to face what we're going through right now.
Mm-hmm.
And we know that if you're not tough enough, there's no way
That's
you're going
good,
to do
Mark,
it.
because you're
And
looking at it like one day he's going to have to lead a family. He's going to have to protect an entire household. And if I rear him to be only soft and not know how to be hard and soft at the right moments, it's going to be to the detriment of not only him, but the family that he may have to one day take care
yeah,
of.
yeah, there's a level of fight,
Yeah.
there's a level of masculine fight
Mm-hmm.
that we need to put in a boy
I love this.
in order for him to grow up to be a successful man.
I love that.
Just by our presence, if you look at the lion, the male lion,
Mm-hmm.
his presence, the way he commands the
Mm-hmm.
pride.
Yeah.
He doesn't necessarily hunt like the female lion
Right.
does,
Right.
but he's there. And so as the young male lions begin to grow up, they take cues from his strength
Mm-hmm.
and how to actually rule and reign and have dominion as the king of
That's
the
good.
jungle. So when we're out there teaching our sons, listen, he may cry just off of what I say.
Yeah.
I don't even have to strike him for him to
Yeah,
cry.
right.
If he's my son,
Right.
I know how to push a button
Mm-hmm.
that makes him feel vulnerable enough to shed a tear. But what I'm doing in that moment is actually dropping seeds of masculinity
Mm.
so he gets tough enough.
Mm.
So if he cries today when he grows older and he comes up when he comes up against something in life,
Yeah.
he won't cry in that
But you know
moment.
why I love this, Mark? I love this because I feel like, unfortunately, at least in Western culture, the male in so many ways has been emasculated.
Yeah.
And I love the fact that there are still men out there like you. And I believe men of God should hold this same standard that if I am called to either raise a son that's biologically mine or God has put me in the life of a young man that I need to help rear, I believe that you should take that stance as a man of God, because actually, that's the world's design for men to be emasculated. That's never been God's design. I
No.
never see any instance in the Bible where God encourages femininity and emasculation in men.
Right. Right.
Never seen an instance. But you know, Mark, it reminded me of this story. It's actually a lesser example, but it's still funny because our son plays soccer.
Yeah.
And that time when he let himself fall to the ground face down
Yeah.
because he wanted to get a penalty.
Yep.
And the two parental responses were so vastly different Because the minute he did that, because he didn't get up in 2 seconds, I literally was getting out of my chair and I said, Mark, what if this kid's going into cardiac arrest? And you said, Jay, sit down. There's nothing wrong with that boy. And
Sit
I'm
down.
like, his face is on the ground. He's flat out like this and he's not moving. And you were like, just have a seat and relax.
Sit down.
Only for seconds later, the boy to get up.
Get up, and he's good. And he's good. And I think in that moment, even if I was a little concerned, I'm going to err on the side of let him figure it out and let him try and get up by himself.
Yeah.
Because in life, as a man, there's nobody there to pick you up. I think as a woman and as a wife, you can sometimes lean on your husband to pick you up. But there are some things as a man that your wife can't really pick you up in and help you up in. That's how we feel. That may not even be the case,
Yeah.
but that's how we feel as men, that we internalize certain things because we don't want to put the pressure on you to have to pick us up out of certain situations. We want to pick our own selves up because as a man, the buck stops with us. And so we're not going to lean on you for certain things. And so I'm going to put that into my son. That's why, listen, he wants to be this great soccer player.
Yeah.
And I turned to him one day, son, I said, you don't practice enough. You trying to be a great soccer player, you have not put in half the work
Yeah.
that you need to put in to be a great soccer player. And that's the way it is. We'll play one-on-one soccer, we'll do some scrimmage. I don't let him win.
Yeah.
Crazy. Like a mom would let him win. You don't win unless you earn this win.
Yeah.
You don't win. Why? Because in life, he's going to have to earn it. No one is going to give it to him.
Yeah.
And I think those are things that come in the DNA of a man.
That women need to be aware of, that when your husband or the man that God has put in your son's life is showing him certain things or telling him certain things, have enough wherewithal to pull back and say, let me consider the source. Is this man really trying to harm this young boy, or is he actually just doing his job to rear him in a way that I'm not called to rear him?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So,
So, those are a few things,
those are important things.
a few important things about a man that I think folks need to understand, unpack, and know. All right.
Good.
I feel like I left some things on the table, but we can do this again.
Absolutely.
Because there's some good things that I left on the table, but I think this was a good talk, and this will really help some people. All right.
Yep.
Now listen, if you're a woman, if you're a wife, and you choose to ignore what was said, that's on you. We're just trying to help.
Yeah.
We're just trying to help. But we think that this may help your marriage, your relationship, and bring you guys closer. And I hope I was able to articulate certain things that maybe a man couldn't say directly to his wife, but he's like, hey, watch
But
this
he's going to
video.
share the link.
Yeah, watch this video. All right. So this has been another episode of Breakfast with Mark and Jen. We hope you enjoyed it. And it's our prayer, it's our hope that your marriage is made better because of this video. We'll catch you next time. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Until then, take care.